I bet your mom gave you gold stars, and I would too. Jeff Barnes.
Good morning. Do you know how hard it is for a GE person to be the last speaker on a panel? We usually like to be first. We don't like to be last. But as I look at the panel, I'm just humbled to be part of a group of this distinguished honor to talk about education and rising. And I'm going to take a little different approach than my other panelists did. That doesn't surprise those people that know me. But I think what we do in GE from a leadership training perspective has a lot of statements about what we need to be doing from a Saudi and a US educational perspective. So I'm going to hopefully make that connection fairly clear to you and fairly quickly. We've been working at building, powering, curing, and moving the world for a long time. We've delivered 130 straight years of dividends, and we're the only company that's on the original Dow Jones. The only reason I say that's not to brag about GE, but to say the only reason we're still in business is because we've changed dramatically over time, and we keep rethinking how we're doing business and where we do business. We have 6 key businesses. 3 of those are very active in Saudi Arabia. GE Energy is a huge business for us there. GE Healthcare and GE Aviation are huge businesses for us of our 1,000 employees, of our 300,000 around the world. We're a well-known company. We're a company for leaders, and we're thought of as a company for leaders. And I think our leadership education, which I have responsibility for, is very similar to educating people from K through 12, or very similar to educating people in an educational system of college and university. Our culture does drive our longevity. Our leaders, though, drive our culture. So we think about how do we teach collaboration, which I think is the key skill you need to survive in this particular century. How do you get people to think about being experiential? You use the term innovative. How do you get people to be innovative? And we also are very strong believers in GE that we're a meritocracy, that everybody has equal chances of success. And we think that's key to the future of education around the world. Our leaders inspire others to be their best. Our theme is, we all rise. And the belief there is that if your leaders are the best leaders in the world, if your employees are the best employees of the world, then the entire company will rise. I think the same thing is true for Saudi education. If you get everybody better, the whole country will rise, and the whole economy will rise. And that's really what the goal is. Same inside our company or inside the countries. Leaders connect people. We have an approach that we think works in education as well. We tell people what's expected of them. We help them get there. We look at what are their unique challenges, what are their unique differences, and we also hold people accountable. And the key is giving people the feedback in the direction of what they're doing well and how they do it well. We help people get there through our educational processes. We believe that 80% of all learning happens on the job. I'd like to use this as a chance to do a commercial to those of you in college today. We'd love to have you come do a co-op experience at GE. We think learning on the job is the best way of learning, and we think that's where the key learning does happen. We also think that 20% of learning does happen outside the classroom. It happens in classrooms. It happens when you learn functional skills. It happens when you attend conferences such as this one. Leadership programs are the way we tend to bring young people into the organization. We do this in Saudi as well. We have people that come in as manufacturing leaders. We have them come in as financial leaders, as technology leaders, as information management leaders, and as human resource leaders. This program's been going on for 100+ years. It's a 2-year rotational assignment, but a great way for students to learn, to get a feel for industry and figure out if this is where they want to be. Today, we have 3,000 people in these programs, and a lot of those are in Saudi Arabia. And a third of our current leadership team, if I look at our current officers, a third of them join the company through leadership programs. So we think this is a powerful tool and helps people really get ahead. Crotonville, which is the place I live in, Crotonville, New York, Croton-on-the-Hudson, is really our corporate university. It was developed in 1956. We could have rested on our laurels and said, we've been around since '56, we were the first corporate university, we got it made. But reality is, others are getting better. Others are getting as good as us, so we had to stop and think about how could we be better? What could we do? And one of the things we had to do was we had to move around the world. We couldn't do all our education in New York City, in America. We had to think about how to be more global. So we have a center in Munich, Germany. We have a center in Bangalore. We have a center, we're building a center in Rio. We have a center in Shanghai. And we also have a center in the Middle East with our partner Mubadala in Abu Dhabi. 90% of our leaders, though, have taken our leadership training. One of the things that we think is just key to learning, and I think this is true in the classroom, is business leaders being engaged in the classroom and leaders teaching leaders. And the more you can make that happen, the more success you're going to have. We actually have a program in our Crotonville, New York facility where we bring an officer to live with us for a week. They cancel all their work for the week, and they spend the week coaching, counseling, teaching, talking to students. We think the more we can get leaders engaged in the classroom, the more success we'll have. And I think that's also one that we can use in the world of education as well. But I think the key for us is we've never stopped evolving. Even though we're a 130-year-old company, even though we've had our leadership university since 1956, we haven't stopped evolving. We always stop to think about what else should we be doing. We started a process, I don't know how to go back. We started a process back in 2009 where we started realizing this 21st century is a little different than the 19th century and the 20th century. We started realizing the 2008 financial crisis, as our first speaker talked about continuing in 2009, 2010, 2011, has really reset the world. So we need to reset our leadership training. We need to reset how we think about education. So we went through a whole process where we went around the world, we talked to lots of people. I'm not going to go through this whole slide in the interest in time, but just suffice it to say that we talked to as many people as we could, both government, both inside the company, both external. We talked to as many businesses, we talked to as many employees, we talked to as many folks as we could to figure out how we could change our education. And we started looking at how do we reimagine our education. And I think this is a model you can use for Saudi education. We looked at three things. We looked at our content. Do we have the right content for today? Do we have the right content for this century? We looked at the environment. Do we have the right environment that we're trying to teach people in? Are we teaching them where they can learn? And do we have the right experience? Because education has got to be experiential. The thought that you can be lectured at for 2 days is probably outdated, even though we're doing it today. Yeah, many of you have been on many vacations already. You've left your seat and you've gone out of the room, and we've learned that. So as we put our classes together, think about it. What stage are you in your career, and what do you need to do? Are you a learner? Are you a doer? Are you a guider of other people? Or are you a senior executive where your goal is to shape people? And we really try to put our education based on your needs right now, rather than your needs in the future. So again, we try to put it all together. How do you inspire people? How do you connect people? How do you develop people? If I give a hope for the Saudi system, it's that you think about that whole inspirational system. And as a U.S. system, how do we inspire people to want to be in school and want to do the best? And with that, I'll end. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Jeff.